Hey, so I just want to make a quick little one talking about this video from Dwarf Lord. I think it's really good talking about loot. Um, I've played with him for a long period of time, and he definitely knows what he's talking about. It's a pretty funny video, so I would definitely check it out. Um, he's done a lot for the classic era community in general, and it's just kind of a funny video. So yeah, I would definitely look into it. Just a couple thoughts about loot that he doesn't cover too much. Right here, he mentions the icy scale quaff or coif or whatever you want to call it. It's better than the mail is better than the plate for warriors. The reality is, for a DPS warrior, you just want to have either the mail or the leather. It doesn't really matter which one. So that's either off of, what is that? Noth? Hygen? Yes, Hygen. So Hygen drops the helm, that's mail, and then Gothic drops the one that is leather. So it's kind of up to you which one you end up getting. I would just try and get one of them. The helm is the most optimal piece when it comes to frost resist gear. So get one of them, and then at worst, you can have two inventory spots for frost resist. Late on, you get the legs and the helm. You got 100 frost resist. Your raid leader can't hate you for at least having that, and it is what it is, right? Then you use the Frost Juju, and it's fine. Maybe you get the ring as well, but that's really about it. Just mentioning the offhand off of Kate, what is it, Saffray here? Really, really powerful. The claw, it's basically bis trash. People always kind of hate to have an extra stone to sharpen, so that is kind of one downside. But the power of this weapon is definitely understated. And when it comes to like low key, really good things getting early on, this to me is one of like the more interesting items, especially if you don't have rank 14. Getting something like this item that is not super desired but still really good, you're just kind of pumped with it. So kind of an interesting trash item or main tank item as he talks about there. Just talking about the different tier 3, I think it's an interesting element how in the previous version of the game on Era, there's buff cap. So getting some of the tier pieces was less valued for that reason. When it comes down to it, basically every class wants to get their tier. When it comes to the warrior versus rogue tier, you definitely want to have the rogues get it first. When it comes to mage versus warlock versus priest, I think there is kind of arguments for all of them. Um, so it is what it is there, and priests, mage, warlocks can just kind of prioritize different things over whatever. The druid one is interesting to me, where a lot of times tier 3 druid is just kind of rough with buff cap, but being able to play with that more, I think is going to be an interesting thing going into speedruns. Hunters, they definitely want their full tier set, so that's just one of those things that is kind of rough for hunters, um, because the shamans and the paladins want it as well, right? So fortunately, out of all these classes, there's just a lot less people, right? The challenge, I would say, amongst the tier is often between the mage, the priest, the warlock, how they just all want it. Um, and there's more competition, right? On one of these raids, there's at least 10 people who want these tier pieces, compared to here, I guess, on Horde side, it is a little bit rougher for the girdle, which is why on Horde side, typically the chain pieces are, um, I don't know, they're kind of less desired. Or sorry, no, they're way more desired. And not only that, they're very rare. So that's definitely the challenge on Horde side. Chain pieces are worse. Compared to on Alliance side, you want the plate pieces more because the Warriors want them and the Paladins want them. And there's just not as much demand on Horde side for plate. So, yeah, kind of rambled there a little bit, but hopefully that was clear as far as rogues really have it easy. This is why we hate the rogue class, because all they really need to do is get their 8 out of 8 tier 3 and they're blasting, and no one plays rogue because it's rogue, and they just get it. So the challenge is that they do have to compete for the main tanks. Definitely tanks 1, 2, 3, and even 4. You guys want to have 4 set of tier 3, and that should be prioritized. So that's the trade-off and the challenge between these two is how much do you give to the rogue? And I would say nothing because it's a rogue, but that's kind of the in between, right? Um, so yeah, interesting challenge there as well. Other than that, I don't think there's too much to mention that he didn't cover. Um, he mentions the importance of the Gressel THC. Everyone talks about it, and like who should get it. And rogues, again, they really want it compared to the warriors that really want it. We're going to go through more and more raids when it comes to levels of damage, and I think the choice then becomes pretty clear of who can output more damage and who should have the items that do more damage. He makes the same point with the Mark of the Champion here. This trinket is incredibly powerful, and the people that do the most damage should probably have it. Um, in reality, though, I do think there's a fair argument between both rogue and warriors for getting this phylactery each time. The casters really should not. Casters have plenty of other trinkets that are really good, and there's only so many weeks, so getting it on more of the melee is definitely the play. But yeah, probably should be on the warriors, but this much attack power is pretty nice on rogues. So, anyways, other than that, last rambles here. The tier set breakup is the big question, right? So things like Rhyme and Soul Harvesters and all that kind of stuff, I think is still best for mages compared to rocking with the tier, even not considering the slight tier bonus that mages can now use with debuff cap not being a thing. But yeah, that's just going to kind of be the question and the flavor going into things is how buff cap is affected, how debuff cap is affected in Naxx by not having those to worry about as much. And from a gear perspective, again, the most interesting element to me is probably the tier 3 druid. But anyways, that's really it. Again, good guide overall. Um, I think that he does sometimes bring up the point of some of the stuff is negligibly better, like 5 to 10% at most. And let's see if I can say that word again. Negligibly? There we go. Much better the second time. I had a stroke the first time. Anyways, I just had to see if I could do it. um, things like the Saffron's left eye compared to the AQ40 item, it's like 5 spell power, right? So some of these things just aren't super much better. On the caster side, that matters less, right? On the melee side, that 2 to 5% on everything, that's what it's all about. And I get that it's the same on the caster side, but you really do see and feel it more, and we'll go into that more on the log side of things for the melee. So I agree when it comes to things like he mentions as far as if you've had Onslaught Girdle since phase one, there's no reason you should be getting Girdle of the Mentor over other people in the raid that don't have that. This is a really hyper uh, fast version of Fresh, only having it probably for like 12 weeks. So I'm kind of interested to see how it ends up going. I'll stop ranting. Thanks.